What is up, racers, and welcome back to another episode of our F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 10 today for the Belgian Grand Prix. If you missed our previous video at the Hungarian Grand Prix, then be sure to check that one out. A great race from us, back in the points, great way to enter the summer break with taking P7 in the Constructors' Championship against Alpine, and great fights with some very good cars. We're looking good. But anyway, looking ahead to Belgium, and we're going to sign another sponsor because we're at a claim level 10 now, and we signed Zaynetto. They have an easy sponsor bonus, which is just a sponsor goal, which is just to answer 2 interview questions. But hey, at this stage in the career mode, you got to accumulate money as quickly as you can, and sometimes that just means swallowing your pride and taking some goals that are a little easier than others. But anyway, here we are, we're just adding the stickers onto the car, and we're going to change the personal sticker on the halo to the rainbow, because, you know, hey, it's for a good cause. It's for a good cause. And also the engineered insanity, like, it doesn't help when half of the sticker you can't even see anymore. And on the bright side, we're going to rectify the mistake we made at the beginning of the season and get rid of that weird 3-tone red, or off red color, and we're just going to match what's on the engine cover, which is weird considering that when I looked at it now, it doesn't look the same. But anyway, looking ahead, back to what really matters, the performance upgrades. Our drag reduction upgrade failed, so we have to reinvest in that. And we're also going to invest into a fuel efficiency upgrade, as well as on our build time for the chassis department. Because, hey, we got money to spend.
And we've got an issue we'd like your input on.
And now we got a department event for the aero department, where it says that we have a deadline. The aero department wants to meet a deadline for the DRS activation mechanism. So they're asking whether we want to give them more hours, which will result in a good discount. But the aerodynamic morale will go down, and I just don't want that. We don't want to overwork our employees.
Thanks for dealing with that.
So we're just going to decline it. Besides, the DRS mechanism isn't exactly the most important upgrade that we need at the moment. But anyways, heading into the season break, we have a press interview with Will Buxton. Let's hear what he has to say to us.
Here we are in the HQ of our newest Formula One team. We've got an awful lot to talk about, so let's jump straight in. Your facilities here are looking a little dated compared to other teams. Is there a reason for that?
Wow, Will. Quite a strong forward question. I mean, we're still a new team. We've got a lot of time to catch up.
It looks like you have a lot of new equipment at your chassis fabrication plant. Have you been investing heavily in it?
Yes.
Things haven't quite been going your way this season. Are you going to be able to turn the team around?
Will. I don't know what you mean. I mean, we're not exactly a Red Bull or a Mercedes right now. We are still in the building phases. This is our first season. So, of course, there's going to be some bumps on the road.
Your second driver really seems to be improving at a rapid pace. How dedicated are they?
Not dedicated enough. I'm kidding. No. I mean, Sato, he's a rookie. He's learning.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
Absolutely not.
Well, thanks so much, as ever, for your time. It's hugely appreciated.
You're welcome,
Our
Will.
income is solid at the moment.
Those are some
We should
very,
start
very
considering
touchy
where we can
questions
look
he
to
asked
invest
us.
the profit we're making
I don't know how
back
I
into
exactly
the
feel
team.
about that. Anyway, let's head into the season break. Good break. And we come back, and
Hey,
our
boss,
chassis upgrade
I
comes
think we
in.
could better manage our
Beautiful
time by
timing
organizing
on
some
that.
team
And,
activities.
well, I
Head
mean,
to the
last time we didn't have
activity
enough
screen
time.
to see what we have available.
Oh my god, man, shut up. Thank you. So we're just gonna throw in some G-force training for Sato to help him get in the right space. Get his mind in the right space. That's what I meant to say for the upcoming races. As you can see, all the upgrades that we had planned are get onto the car, and that propels us to 6th best on the performance index. That's really good. Alpine has actually fallen way down the order, and Alfa Romeo has actually put in some good work. So good on them. Not so good for Alpine, which is good for us. That means that P7 and the constructors will be easier. As you can see, all those upgrades come in, and we head into the Belgian Grand Prix weekend, and there's no weather forecast that they gave us. But as we look to the symbols on the menu screen, there's going to be rain in qualifying in the race, which means that our setup will have to be adapted for wet weather running. And as a result, in practice 1, we put up a very, very slow time. That, albeit on the medium tires, and Sato actually beats us, which says a lot. And again, in practice 2, but this time we shouldn't read too much into it. I deliberately only went out during the wet period because I wanted to get some wet weather running in. So, obviously, I was the slowest when the dry tires were used. And then for practice, we went through quick practice because because of the wet weather driving, I wasn't able to complete all the goals, and well, you need those you need those discounts and those resource points. But anyway, let's head into qualifying. And here we are, into qualifying. And you can see it's already starting to rain in Q1. So, we're all going on the inters. And as you can see, we're going on a balanced default setup because usually we'd go increase top speed around Belgium, but, I mean, when it's wet, you need more downforce. So, that's what we're going to do. And as you can see, it's raining quite a bit. Not as much as, well, let's say the real-life Belgian Grand Prix, but so enough to the point where we have to lift off going through Eau Rouge and Radion, so as not to lose the back end. But as we head towards the line, a pretty decent lap, and the car actually felt really planted. And to prove it, we're in P2 already. We do drop down a bit, going down to around P10, P11, but considering how far down we were in practice, this is a monumental change. And as we go for our second flyer at the end of Q1, we increase our time by about, we gain about 1.5 seconds. So that's an immense lap from us, and it puts us to P6. P6. We're best of the rest right now in a car that's only about the sort of the most average car on the grid. It's amazing. The McLarens look really good around here, actually. They're better than the Red Bulls. And Sato, well, he can't capitalize either, back in P19. Not a great effort from our teammate. So, but that gives us some confidence going into the wet period of the race that we might be competitive. But anyway, it's Q2. Completely dry. It's almost like night and day compared to the last compared to Q1, and well, because of the extra downforce, we lose a lot of time in the fast sectors, and we're down to P11, so we're about to get eliminated. So here we go, out on another lap, and well, it's our best lap, so we're going to narrate the whole thing and show you how you go. Braking early into Lacon, great spot for overtaking, and it's going to set you up well for the run down the hill towards Eau Rouge, one of the most historic corners and one of the most dangerous, as it's taken quite a few lives down this complex, up Radion, and heading down towards the Kemmel Strait, where the DRS, if you can get it, is so powerful as such a long run, the slipstream as well, getting behind the car, and as we brake late into the Lacon chicane, taking a bit of curb, careful on the first curb, it is a bit of a death curb if you take too much of it, through the Lacon chicane, down into Brussels. Very imperative you brake early, heading into there, getting your braking point just right, because it's very easy to understeer through there, into No Name corner, and we've gained about 3.5 tenths of a second. Great job. Now heading into the fast left-hander of Pouan, lifting off a little early, better than our first run when we went a little wide, and now into turns 13 and 14 through this fast chicane, getting the car just right, and this positioning is actually really good from us, and the car feels superb, albeit may not be the fastest car on the grid, but we've gained about 7 tenths, almost 8 tenths of a second through the fast right-hander turn 16 and down now into Blanchiment. Great fast corners, really just kings. We take a lot of curb there unintentionally though. We lose a tiny bit of time. We're up by about 8.5 tenths into the bus stop chicane, the last two corners, and great place for overtaking if you have the balls to do it, because Blanchiment is a great long stretch of road, and well, we get P9 at the end of it, so we make it into Q3. Pretty good considering we were on a break, and we finished ahead of both Alpines and both AlphaTauris, which the AlphaTauris are our next competition in the Constructors' Championship, so it is looking good for us. But onto our first run of Q3, and getting through the Lacon chicane, I'm understeering again. The problems from Silverstone are surfacing again. I think this time though, it was more on me than anything. As you can see there, I feel like I missed my braking point heading down that hill. But, I mean, again, ooh, got really close to that Pirelli wall through No Name. But anyway, fin end of the lap. Not the best lap I've put out this qualifying, and it's only good for P4. We drop back down to P9 at the end of it, so we're going to go out again in a fresh set of soft rubber and see what we can do. Thankfully, because we didn't go out in Q1, we do have some extra sets of soft compound tires to use, and well, we gained about 3/4 tenths through Lacon, showing how important it is to just, nail the lap down. We increased we improved by 2/10. Still only P9 though. Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, take a bow, sons. The McLarens look rapid around this track, similar to what we were seeing in the real-life Belgian Grand Prix if we actually had the race. And this time, I hope we actually do have a race, because Belgium is a great track to drive on. But we've got a lot of cars to pass, a lot of fast cars. It's possible. Let's head into the race.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let's start with Aston Martin. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Perez, Leclerc, Vettel, the engineer, and Lance Stroll, Sainz, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Marino Sato, and George Russell, Mazepin, Latifi, Gasly, and Esteban Ocon rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
You got it, Jeff. I mean, that's always the old goal. A few grid penalties on the grid. Ones that stuck out to me were Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, 2 of our chief competition. However, no one ahead of us does, so we're still in P9. But as you can see, the rain's only going to come for a tiny bit in the race. So I'm thinking we start on the softs, because we have to, because that's the lap we qualified on Q2. And we go instead of medium tires and try to run it out to the wet period. So let's see if our strategy works. Here we go, the 5 red lights. Honestly, weirdly, no beeping. It's lights out and away we go. And it's a great start off the line for the Belgian Grand Prix. We're going to dive down into La Source as we pass Vettel, past Leclerc. We're right up next to Bottas. We bang tire walls. We sandwich him in to Perez. Kind of dirty move on my part, but hey, it was clean. The FI didn't call anything, but Bottas comes sweeping back at us with the extra downforce through Eau Rouge, up Radion. That is a very, very risky overtake. Mark Webber can testify to that, as well as Pierre Gasly in 2020 and Bottas actually in 2018. But as we head down through down the Camel Straight to the Lake Conshohocken, we brake. We miss our braking point. The dirty air really affecting us. We go wide again, and Perez is looking for anything. We understeer to the end of the Lake Conshohocken, and we might have killed Charles Leclerc. Confirmation: we did make contact. Sato's up at the P8. Hold on, he was in P17. How did he get there? Well, let's analyze the events that just occurred. As we head into the La Source, the dive bomb was we get a great start off the line to Vettel. But yeah, we definitely sandwiched Bottas in with Perez. Look at this. Bottas has nowhere to go. But thankfully, Perez kind of backs out because he sees that. And Bottas, well, he's not very happy. As you can see, this is a ballsy move from the Finn. Great, great move. Of course, he's in a better car than us. But now let's look at the incident with Charles Leclerc. As you can see, oh, he kind of collides with us as we're rejoining the track.
What the hell?
Big shunt, actually. I'm surprised there wasn't more damage, but it was just slowed on the incident. And oh, I'm going to have to go racing incident on this one. I mean, yes, we did go off the track, and yes, you could argue it was an unsafe entry, but Leclerc should have, veered off a little bit. He shouldn't have taken the racing line, considering that we weren't completely off the track, and you can clearly tell we were rejoining it. But I think it's a racing incident, but honestly, considering he only lost his right end plate, I think that's consolation. He's still in this race. Oh, look at the dive bomb from Sato. He makes up 6 places off the line by diving to La Source. Make that 7. 8 places in one corner. That is Like, where has this Sato been all year? I don't know what he did during the summer break, but that is monumental. Of course, Sainz did manage to pass Sato again, and Sato does fall away from the pack. Understandable considering their car isn't very good, and to justify it even more, Sainz with DRS gets a great run at us down the Camel Straight. We try to maybe contest them into the late con chicane. Unfortunately, that was optimistic thinking. But that was really good on to lap 4 now. Vettel gets past Sato, so it doesn't seem like his points for Sato is going to be possible. There's yellow flags behind us. I'm trying to see what's going on. There's a white car. Is that Sato? Sato out? Oh!
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
It was Mick Schumacher.
The car is out. We need you to reduce your pace. It looks like there's a high amount of debris.
It's a safety. The safety car's out. Safety car's out. I brought up the safety car. Honestly, that's really, really lucky for me. I mean, that was a huge mistake on my part. That's why I got distracted. I was trying to find out who who the yellow flag was for, and it was for Mick Schumacher, as you can see on this replay, going slow through turns 13 and 14, and it looks like a mechanical failure as he parks to the side of the road. Let's see this angle because we know the smoke effects don't work on the normal cameras, and there you go on the chase cam, proof that it's not a mechanical failure, it's an engine failure. There's smoke billowing from the back of that Haas. And Schumacher is out of the race, and that is really going to disappoint him considering that on this track, his father debuted back in '91.
Okay, need to find a place to stop, Mick. If there's a road there.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But what's more unfortunate is our incident. As you can see, I get distracted. I understeer because I think I was putting too much power in, and there's a gravel trap right there, and that just caused me to lose the back end, and my front wing just disintegrates, which is weird considering that the crash I had is very similar to the crash Leclerc had. And yet my front wing is gone. As you can see, that is what a Formula 1 car looks like without a front wing. We are getting called into the pits though, and the safety car is going to help us here. But, as you can see, the front wing is so important for downforce. As you can see, I used my normal braking point as they head into the first part of the bus stop chicane, but I completely go off. And Sato's in the pits! No! Oh my god. Oh no. Oh my, I think I'm going to ruin Sato's race. He's right behind us. We're going to double stack, and everyone's in the pit lane, and we got to take a front wing change. Oh no. Oh. I know, I'm worried this isn't sounding genuine. I actually am so mad at myself for crashing out, because I mean, oh god. Sato was actually in the points, but now because we double stacked, his pit stop was not only delayed, but it's going to be way slower even when they get ready. Because everyone's going to be past him. I think Sato's going to be last, and well, all that good work he did on a lap 1 is just going to go out the window because of my mistake. Oh god. I'm going to have to give him a big bonus after this race. But anyway, safety car is in on lap 7. Gasly gets a great start because we were going through the bus stop chicane at that moment. Not a great place to be during a safety car restart because I'm going slow, but the entire field is accelerating quickly. And if I go on a power too early into the bus stop chicane, I will spin out. And Stroll is pressuring us now for P16. God, how the mighty have fallen. And Stroll is in a way faster car than our Toyota. Thankfully, because we're on a medium compounded tire, we're able to stick ahead of the Aston Martin into the late con chicane. But now into lap 8, and it's so overcast as Gasly gets past Mazepin. We're going to dive on the inside into the source, and we're going to see if we can get by Gasly too. We bang tire walls of the Alpha Tauri. He backs off, and we get 2 for 1. But I don't think Gasly's going to be very happy about that, and he isn't, because on the Camel Straight, he's right behind us, and Mazepin's actually looking for a move too. We defend the inside. We take a little too much curb. Oh, we lose the back end.
About 10 more minutes of this rain.
Oh my god. And Leclerc passes us for revenge. And Russell's looking for a move. And it's time for intermediate tires. And now, while it may look a little weird considering that the rain only just started on that lap, Belgium's such a long lap that the rain's going to accumulate very quickly. But as you can see, great double overtake, but kind of sloppy. And I'll admit, a little bit of the red mist was in my eyes.
Where is this?
Yeah, and Gasly is not very happy with that. And oh, Mazepin actually makes contact with him through Eau Rouge. That is very dangerous. But as for my little bit of a tank slapper, yeah, I just mounted too much curb. And maybe the rain played a bit of an element into this, making the curbs a little more slick, but yeah, there you go. But anyway, as you can see, as my point previously, the track is accumulating water. We lose the back end again on the slick tires, and Russell gets by us. And I'll admit, next part, this was my bad. I tried to overtake Russell again into the pit lane, and well, of course, not only did I entirely brake later than I usually do, but because of the wet track, I overshot it, and I have to do an embarrassing entry into the pit lane, and thankfully the FIA do not punish me for going over the white line. This has just been a sloppy race to come back to after the summer break. I'm sorry, guys. This is... there's no excuse for it. It's terrible. And we're going to pit onto a set of intermediate tires now, and I think now we're at the back of the grid. As the crew puts on the tires, good stop from the boys in all fairness. And Leclerc's now back in front of us. So to add insult to injury, the man we accidentally put into the wall is ahead of us. And we get a warning for crossing the pit lane exit because we lost the back end on cold inters. Can this race get any worse? I hope not. Anyway, Sato, wow, yes, to prove it, Sato's at the back of the grid. We're going to see he dived on the inside of Lesource on Leclerc. Bit of contact, and this is just sloppy. I'm pretty angry at this point. I'm just diving down. I'm doing reckless things. Perez is ahead of us in the pit lane, so he stayed out for an extra lap. Puts him behind the Williams. There's a train of cars ahead of us, so hopefully we can catch up to them through Eau Rouge and Radion. Leclerc is right up our backside. Looks like he's going to pass us again. We defend the inside a little aggressively, I would admit, deploying a lot of ERS into the bus stop chicane. Sorry, Laycon, but there's yellow flags ahead. What's going on? And Perez is stopped. Oh, what are you doing?
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
Oh my god, and to add insult, I think we're out. We're out. And this is what happened. Antonio Giovinazzi tags Carlos Sainz, and he spins around, causing the whole train of cars to be backed up. I think there's Lando, Vettel, and we collide into the back of Perez, and that's it. We're out of the race. We're out of the Belgian Grand Prix. So a dismal way to restart after the season break. Oh my god.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So in the end, Lewis Hamilton climbs back to the top step after that disappointing DNF in Hungary. Bottas in P2, and Ricciardo, like I said, McLaren's were looking good into P3. So good job for the front runners, but I mean, what this race could have been. At least we had a racer on Belgium, you know? And that's like really scraping for something positive. But as you can see through the field, and actually I think Lando is actually in P3, because if you look, Lando, Vettel, there's a few other drivers in this, I think Giovinazzi as well. They get 5-second penalties. Lando, that would have put him ahead, I think, of Daniel Ricciardo, so he got lucky there. See, Gio got a 5-second penalty. Sato actually makes up 1 place. So it wasn't an entirely dismal race, but what could have been for the team. Sato's first points, a good result for us around Belgium. But in the end, we just not only put up a sloppy performance, but we end up DNFing. And Leclerc himself actually DNFs. So as a result, not very good. And because Vettel got a 5-second penalty, Ocon got 1 point, and Alpine is now 1 point behind us in the Constructors' Championship, which means that next race at Zandvoort, we need to step back. Step up, I mean, not step back. You see, even the commentary job has been a bit of a nightmare. Anyways, that was a shamble of a Belgian Grand Prix. A textbook example of how a race weekend should not go. But hopefully, I haven't deterred you from coming back for the Dutch Grand Prix next episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Share the video, share the love, and I'll see you guys real soon. I'm the ISO Racer. Remember, life's a marathon, not a sprint, and make sure you're always in a position to win. Peace out. I owe Sato a beer, man.